right, we are live. This is Motorsports Race Talk. Today I am joined by Chris Burns, Corey Huffnagel, and John Bendel. Corey and Chris actually run another podcast called The Speedway Review, and we are planning to relaunch. I've actually been named as I'm actually going to be their new producer for the show. I've created their new logo. The tentative date is October 27th at 7:30, and I would like to unveil the new logo for the Speedway Review.
That is me driving home from work on a daily basis.
But before we do get started with the show, I would like to send my condolences and prayers to my Buddy Toll, who over the weekend lost his daughter at 20 to cancer. All right, so John John worked the next gen test at Charlotte. Do you mind telling us what that experience was like for that brand new car?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot to go over. I wasn't part of building it. I saw it in different stages, but it was actually a last minute deal. I got a call to help literally 7:00 Sunday night before the test. I guess I don't want to say like how futuristic the car is, because a lot of the people the drivers and stuff that have IMSA say that it's like an old IMSA car. It's so it's still like 10 years behind, I guess. But it is the car from what NASCAR had is leaps and bounds as far as the adjustments, and normally we ran basically like you didn't have any adjustment like the rear end, like you camber toe, all that stuff, you were set. Now you can do those adjustments. Your wedge adjustments that most people hear about, it's literally a screw that during a pit stop you go in, you put a wrench in, turn around, and the screw would push down on the cup that would compress the spring a little bit more, change your spring rate. That's all. It's not mechanical in that sense anymore. It's honestly, I watched them make the adjustment. It's got like a little servo on it that reminds me of like a starter servo, but I'm not sure if it's, I don't think it's hydraulic, but it's like, it's, and they call it a weight, like it's a weight jacker thing. Like it's all in house, like in the shock, the changes made by inside, and like the shock and the spring are all one piece now. It kind of reminds me of a late model car where the spring goes around it's attached to the shock, and it's that you can change the stiffness of the shocks by, instead of having to change an entire shock, like you change, you can go in and change the setting on the shock, make it stiffer, make it, it's a lot to learn. I mean, it's I think honestly, though, the time that you spend making those adjustments, a lot of them are quicker. Something you can pull in the garage, knock the tire off, and reach in and make a quick adjustment that would actually have a big effect. But at the same time, there's some that will take a lot longer. Like now, instead of having your conventional motor, drive, transmission, drive shaft, rear gear, you have a gearbox where it's all pretty much in one you know, like your rear end and your transmission are right there on the back, and you can add air to the differential, which is something I'd never heard of in my entire life in NASCAR. You add air to the differential, change your ride height. It helps. It's an adjustment to put 200 pounds of air into the differentials in the rear end through a needle. Which, like I said, I watched them do it, learned about it. It's crazy the stuff that they do now for this new car. It's going to be a huge, learning situation, and I think there's, I believe, 3 more tests now. The road course is good. It's kind of, I think, in that car's wheelhouse. The ones that are going to be like the big one is whenever we come back in November and do a Charlotte test on the big track. That's going to be there's going to be a lot of data that needs to be gone over, because given, like I said, some adjustments can be made fast, some are a little bit more time consuming, and not really knowing the rules for like I've heard that they're going to give us 30 minutes to practice, and you can't do anything under the car, which under the car is kind of open to interpretation. If I take a tire off and I reach in and make an adjustment, is that under the car, or is it not? But the adjustments that can be made are that won't take up a lot of that 30 minutes are going to be going to be limited, and so the cars are going to have to roll off pretty, hopefully pretty close, and having toe and camber and all that in the rear end, something we don't have notes for. So it's they're going to rely on this data from these next few tests to be able to be in the ballpark, because it's hard. A setup plate at a race shop is perfectly level. Like that's what that's why you don't set the car up on the shop floor, because shop floors are made to drain, they're made to do different things, just like a garage at a race shop. So the closest thing you can have to perfect to set everything up is a setup plate. And whenever you're trying to do something that you don't necessarily have notes for, you want to do it on a setup plate. You don't want to do it in Charlotte's garage that's been there for 40 years and got all the rough places and all this stuff for from all the years of use. So it's going to be interesting. We've got a lot of work to do to learn, and I said it's been fun. It's been fun learning just this weekend. I mean, the little changes we made here and there, stuff, just watching the people that have been with the car since it started. It's been an adventure, and it's going to continue to be that way. I'm excited from a learning standpoint, but I'm kind of dreading it from whenever it gets to competition.
Yeah, it sounds like it's cool. Now, John, the part that confused me when I was watching like a little bit of it was this right here. Those little air ducts in the back of the windshield and on the front windshield. What's with the little ducts, that they have like on the windshields, front and back? Is that like to help produce downforce, or?
It's actually for cooling. Mm-hmm. See you see the pipes go out both sides of the car. It actually goes, the exhaust runs out of the motor and goes down and goes along both sides of the roll cage. Which with that, you're basically creating an oven. You have heat coming from the motor, you have heat coming from the exhaust, you have heat from the rear coming from the gearbox. And then on top of that, where used to be you'd climb up underneath the car and you could see everything. Well, now it's sealed. It's got a fiberglass bottom across the entire bottom, from the nose all the way to the back is completely cut, like encased. And so they're doing that because they had a lot of overheating issues with the car, with the driver especially. But all the electronic components that are like the battery and stuff right now is inside the car, rather than being in the rear. Usually the battery's kept in the well, yeah. Sometimes you had two. You have one in each rear wheel well.
Mm-hmm.
But like all that's inside the car now. The dash tells you lap time and stuff. I mean, the dash is updated from even what they have now in the Cup Series, and stuff. And I mean, all that creating heat on the driver and on itself is, that's what they're trying to alleviate. Mostly with those, but allowing airflow, through the car.
Okay. Now, if you guys haven't seen this video from see, the big stars of the test, I have to say, is Trackhouse. Trackhouse has to be the biggest stars. The chrome numbers on that car just looks badass.
Yeah.
This is inside Daniel Suarez. That roar of that engine, that car, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. Like it's I will say one thing that will change from that in-car camera to Daytona is that he had the standard rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had their new rearview mirror system, which is literally there's a camera center of the roof pointed back, and it's all. And where we mounted it, which is where most people I assume will mount it, is actually right above like the driver's seat. Like all you have to do is glance up instead of off to the side. It's just a glance up, and you have a live feed from the camera off the back.
Okay.
That and the dashes are gonna they actually the new car, like the dashes and stuff, is kind of the last thing to be produced. So they're not they're not like we haven't got those yet. Most, like if you look inside all the cars, they kind of mounted things differently inside because we don't have the dash work for it yet.
Right.
So that's gonna be a scramble in itself.
Okay, that makes sense. And so, are they not using the paddle shifters at all?
No, it's I guess more of a slap shift. It's you just have forward and backwards on the shifter. And it has a rod that runs straight back into the gearbox, which the gearbox is basically directly behind the driver's seat. You can, pull back towards you is upshift, forward is downshift. You have 6 gears, which is new because we've always had 4. And then you have reverse. But yeah, the shifter itself and all the linkage is actually pretty simplified by the standards. What you like I said, it's literally a rod that runs straight back to the gearbox.
Do you think now with the 6 gears, how is that going to change the way the cars handle going forward?
I would say, honestly, like the road courses and stuff is where it would be a little different. All your gearing's coming through one company now with like everything else on the car. I'm trying to think. It's not. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. This is the first time I saw them was this weekend. It's not Extra, but it's like X-Track or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They make all the transmissions and stuff. They'll do all the gearboxes. Like that's like you have a, you have a speedway gear, you have a short track gear, you have a road course gear. So I don't know that it's going to be like a, it's going to be more of a learning thing. It's not really going to change as much as far as like you have 2 extra gears to kind of, work on or adjust. It's the way that the car is, it's going to be standardized. So honestly, I think it's just going to be like a learning thing, and it gives you more for I said a road course, more like I guess an IndyCar or F1 where you can downshift, and then get a lot of bite coming out of the corner and slap through a couple of gears and that kind of thing. More and I don't know. I don't really know how to put it. I also think it's just a big update to be kind of more like a street car.
Okay.
That's been NASCAR's kind of thing. They want to more resemble what's on the road.
So putting the stock back in stock car is important to them going forward with this next gen vehicle.
Yeah, you can never really put the stock back in, but something that's more relatable.
Right.
Like the wheels, that was a big thing. Was like they want the wheels to be more, appear more like what you see on the road and
Makes
stuff.
sense.
And having a 6-speed car, but people don't have, so a lot of people don't even know what a 4-speed H pattern transmission is. So to have a 6-speed transmission, if you watch sport modes in their cars, they know what kind of a slap shift is. It's a lot more relatable.
Are the 18-inch wheels heavier tires?
No, because they're aluminum. We always ran steel rims. And they don't have an inner line.
Okay.
So it's your standard speedway tire, super speedway, anything over a half mile is about 75 pounds, per tire. These were probably 50-ish. Without actually weighing them. I'm not sure. But like I grab them off with one hand, throw another tire on. I actually use the test as practice for what I do, full time on the pit crew. And it's going to be, you can't really miss, but it's just a matter of where you put your hands, because the brakes got bigger, your calipers, the way that the rim is, you don't have that natural buffer zone between your hand and the caliper. Now you have to focus where the caliper is to make sure that you don't smash your hand into a caliper. And then they're not, it's not a lug nut anymore. It's a wheel nut. And it's its own animal. It actually is reverse threaded on the car. So instead of righty tighty lefty loosey, you're lefty tighty righty loosey.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like I say, it's all just a huge difference.
I mean, overall, I mean, the one lug nut looks nice, but it does remind me of like an IndyCar tire and a sports car tire. But I think they look pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, the design definitely cool. It's going to take some practice, and right now, what I've heard, I haven't actually got to do a live pit stop with them,
Mm-hmm.
but pit stops are actually slower with one lug
Really?
versus what we normally run.
I figured it would be faster with like the one lug nut, unless it's because of the fueling part.
No, it's the fuel head is the only thing that's carried over from one car to the other.
Okay.
It's they literally. I made the joke that they fixed the car by taking the fuel cap off of one car, pulling another car up, putting the fuel cap on, and calling it a NASCAR still. I mean, it's everything else is different. The fuel head is the same. It's just I think I forget what the single lug is torqued on so high, and then which Paoli's still, I think, developing the pit gun. We use a Paoli electric wrench. Paoli's got that's their baby. The is the actual gun and the socket for it, and it's been, and so they're still kind of, I think, tweaking on it. But even the electric gun, like you had to dig on it for a second before it would spin off. And yeah, once it came off, it was you could pop off right back on, because you have like 12 little divots. If they ever show a picture of the back of the tire, it's got like 12 little divots on the backside, right in next to the hub. And then on the car side, it's got I think it's six little like nipples basically, and that's how you index the wheel. But it's there's so many of them. They're so close together. It's almost impossible to miss. But so like me, I'm a tire carrier. From that standpoint, it's easy. but even for the test, the fender clearance and all that, so tight and everything now. And then, like I said, with the guns, like we had to put them on with so much torque that that it's coming off is a little slower than what it would be for 5 lug nuts.
Okay. So, I don't know if you guys heard or not, but Rick Ware Racing is moving to a full-time Ford next year for all of his cars, and will be having an SHR alliance. Do you think there will be any improvement to the RWR cars with the SHR alliance?
I know that their car at the test was prepared by SHR. And I have a buddy that drives a hauler over there, which I'm actually teaming with him to Texas this weekend. So Mike's gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna be an RWR affiliate this week. But but they had all the engineering help and all that, and they actually I never got a good look at the speed reports. What I saw was probably the same thing everybody else saw, with the fast laps and stuff. And I mean they were decently sporty. It seemed like first day. I didn't even see the second day.
Well, it looks like on the second day for Joey Hand, he was in at 51, and his best time was 1 minute 22 seconds.
Yeah,
with an average speed of 101.272.
Yeah, so that's pretty sporty. 124 was kind of like 124, 125 was kind of where it seemed like the bulk of the field stayed. For I mean, like I know that most of the time, which we had Jacques Villeneuve driving part of it, and then we had I suck at his name.
Loris Hesmans.
I can the last name.
Hesmans.
Yeah.
Their best time was 1 minute 22 seconds with an average speed of 100 miles per hour for 78 laps.
Yeah, we had we did a few flying laps there at the end. We would go run a few laps, 2-3 laps. Then we changed tires. Made a quick adjustment and sent it back out. Basically, not really a qualifying run, but that's like we had him taped off for qualifying and stuff like that. And that's what we got. For the majority of the day, we were closer to the 124 range, which is where a lot of the other cars were for a majority of the day. So like I said, they were pretty sporty. I mean, they had a lot of their data stuff. Like I said, I mean, it was basically a third Stuart Haas team at the test.
Okay,
they were Stuart Haas stuff. They had Stuart Haas engineers watching their stuff. It was they were. I think that it's gonna be something to pay off for them competition wise in the future.
Okay. And speaking of Stuart Haas, tomorrow Tony Stewart is making an announcement of him forming a NHRA racing team.
Interesting.
Wow.
There's a guy who puts his fingers in a lot of racing pie, and the best part about that is it never gets tired. He never gets tired, and it doesn't seem to get old. SRX to me was a fantastic success. Obviously, SHR being one of the better NASCAR teams, not quite up here with Hendrick, but I'd say level B. And then of course now with him going the NHRA route, that's easy for me to say. I think it's fantastic. Anything Tony Stewart puts his name on is money.
Yeah, so, the big talk of the weekend. Sorry, Chris Burns.
Here we go.
It's go time.
I tricked you there, Chris. I tricked you there.
No, I figured as much. If it wasn't going to be talking about Harvick and Elliott, we were going to talk about somebody getting a job other than Matt DiBenedetto.
Well, speaking of Matt DiBenedetto, don't quote me on this, but rumor has it 3 teams reached out to him, and one of them is Kaulig Racing for that Cup ride.
Nice. That'd be a good fit.
Hope it's full time.
But it's so nice to see Ty Dillon back in NASCAR, and also with the 94 back in the Cup Series.
On Matt DiBenedetto, though, that is for possible part-time. That was not a full-time interview is what I was told. They're looking at possibly DiBenedetto doing half the year, maybe 18 or maybe 14 races, and trying to get Allmendinger to run 10, maybe 12, and then splitting it with somebody else. They don't want DiBenedetto full-time right now.
I know Allmendinger right now is doing the road courses this year and has said out loud he wants to stay in Xfinity and keep chasing championships.
Yeah.
If he were to say no, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood that they would maybe say, here, Matt, take this ride full time?
I think that's kind of what they're waiting on, because the later in the year, the more you think that, I don't want to say they're coming down to Matty D being the guy, but because I have, huge hopes that he has a great season and career still going forward. But the longer they wait, I feel like the longer they're exhausting other options. And I know Jeb Burton. I thought he would be a guy that they would put in full time, but with him leaving college, I don't really know what to say about that. Um,
I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I think a lot of these, young guys that are being brought up too early, and I've said it before on Speedway Review, it's the shiny new toy, and sometimes the shiny new toy is awesome and it pays off, and sometimes you're just dumping money into a bottomless pit. All these guys have immense talent. Don't get me wrong. You have to be at the top of your game to be in any one of the top 3 levels at NASCAR, whether you're driving the car or carrying the tires or putting the engines together. You have to be amongst the best at what you do. I think sometimes these teams will overlook a talent that brings a ready-made fan base along with. Instead, they go, okay, that kid's won a bunch of races on Xfinity. Let's get him signed to a deal. And it ruins it for other guys who actually, in my opinion, might deserve the seat time a little more.
Yeah.
I would say to that, sponsor dollars pay more money than fans, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, and that's Matty D. That's where he's at. He's got a few guys that I think will follow him sponsor-wise and a huge fan base. But, until fans can pitch in the money to pay for the ride, I think, these teams are looking at, okay, what sponsor will back who? And that's more of who we're going to go with. I look at, I can't remember the name of the team, but the Red Bull Racing. That's what it was when they hired Casey Kane. I don't know that it was such a move to get Kane in as it was he had sponsors, because he was good at the time, but Kane had revolving sponsors.
Right.
And that made it a lot easier to get him in a full-time seat.
And that was his 3rd team in 10 years. He was with he was with Cripes Everham first.
He was with Everham, and then it was Richard Petty Motorsports, and then it was Gillette Everham, and it was kind of a confusing, name of naming it every year.
And then coming out of that car, he went to Hendrick for a while, didn't he?
He did. That was his last ride before his retirement. That was actually his last ride.
So I understand that the sponsorship dollars part of it, and believe me, I know a lot of these young guys. You can put them in a TV commercial and they'll sell anything. I don't necessarily think he's the best, although he's the reigning defending champion of the circuit. I don't think Chase Elliott's the best that's out there, but you put him in a commercial and people, they see the youth movement in NASCAR, which I think is great. But there's a step above that, and I don't say that in talent-wise, just age-wise. The 30 to 40 crew that's been out there, busting it for years, they need to be looked at a little heavier. And then, of course, you have the elder statesmen like Truex and Harvick and the over 40 gang. Dale Earnhardt was more than a T-shirt design. This is he was a racer, and if he finished first or 43rd, people loved him. But he, as John and Chris both pointed out at one point or another, that dollar talks, and unfortunately, sometimes it talks to the wrong people.
Eric Almirola, I'll just throw his name in that money talks bubble.
Yeah, he's in his contract year, and chances are he's going to re-sign in the 10, and he brings Smithfield with him. And before he won that race, I'm in the stands with Corey at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and I said, that's DiBenedetto's ride next year, guaranteed. And then Almirola wins the race, guaranteed, huh? Shut up.
I mean, there's plenty of seats over there next year for for any of these guys that's out there that accuse it, right? I look to see maybe GMS getting a second car next year. Who knows? There's some charters out there. I seen today where the 2311 and front row charters fell through. So, question is, where does Kurt Busch's charter come from next year? That's the main question right there, which I'm pretty sure we'll find it out, as the season winds down. But But it is nice to see the 94 back in NASCAR. The last time it was in NASCAR, I think, was 2007 with Stanton Barrett. I cannot remember. But it's nice to see Ty Dillon back. So hopefully he can do something well with that in that 94. And what John was talking about, here it is. Yeah, he actually Loris Hesman. I'll get used to it.
Yeah.
A Dutch owner from NASCAR Europe. So it should be interesting. Him and Jacques Villeneuve are going to be splitting the ride next year in part-time races. I think Villeneuve's doing some of the road courses, and Loris is doing some of the oval races next year. I think.
Yeah, I think that's still up in the air. What I gathered from it. I would like to say, as far as they go, they're all great people. I met the owners, everybody, both drivers. They're all they're just excellent people. Very, very friendly, very, wanting to invest money in the sport, which is something we always need. They're competitive over in Europe, and then and like I said, I mean, they're just good people that have a love of racing and wanting to invest. And I think that's something that anybody that enjoys NASCAR could get behind, and maybe not be your favorite, but at least have a respect for, and hope that they're here for the long haul, not just temporarily.
Right. But I think it's pretty cool to see Jacques Villeneuve back in NASCAR, to be honest.
Yeah, he's done it all. So
yes.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't heard, I have a video here from one of the tests. I don't know if it was day 1 or day 2, but this engine sounds bah. I like the sound of that. So Saturday was the drive for the Cure 250, and I tell you what, AJ Allmendinger, hot damn, is he having a season? I tell you what, he's having one of the best seasons I've ever seen, and this is what he had to say following his win.
You all are what makes this so much fun. So it's I'm just proud of everybody at Called Racing. The big picture's championship, but get another win, 3 in a row here at the Roval. That's it means the world to me. Thank you. So everybody, Leaf Filter Gutter Protection, Leaf Home Solutions, Ellsworth Advisors, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Celsius. Can't thank ECR and Chevy enough. Xfinity for allowing us to do this. So this was what an awesome day.
Boy, they survived everything, including the car stumbling, coming to the white flag. AJ Allmendinger, 3rd straight win at the Roval.
No matter what car you put this guy in, he will drive and he will win. He almost won the Indianapolis 500 until he had seatbelt issues. But I tell you what, that boy can drive. It would be nice. It's funny how he raced part-time last season. He says, "Oh, this season I'm going full-time." And what does he do? He just wins, and just keeps kicking ass in the Xfinity Series this year.
And I give him a lot of credit for when he was on the Cup Series. And he sort of knew he was, I don't want to say outclassed. He was outdriven by a lot of the other teams. Says, you know what? I'm going to step back. I'm going to go to the Xfinity Series. They offered him a ride. He says yes. Like you said, part-time. Now he's full-time this year and owning it. And that's got to be said about something about his character. You can go out there every week and stink up the joint, be competitive and have heart and have fire. And again, you have to have this to compete in the sport. But when he saw he wasn't moving forward, he took a step back. now people are talking about him moving forward again, and he's got the talent. He I think maybe needed that confidence boost.
Mm-hmm. And he's killing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like I'm gonna tell you, like if he doesn't win the championship this year, something's not right. Because I'm telling you, he is championship material this year.
Yeah, but we
Like-
saw last year. You can have the best regular season. You come into the playoffs hot. All you need to do is fart for 2 weeks, and you're out.
Exactly. I mean, look at Harvick, for example. I'm not gonna lie, Chris. When he crashed himself out, I started dying.
I actually was laughing myself. And since William Shelley is now banned from the show for that question, I go back to that when he tail ends Chase Elliott, and I'm watching, and I was like, he didn't have to do that. And I got the scanner on in my ear every weekend, and there's no need for it. He didn't at least announce that he was going to do it. Came up on him, rubbed his back end, turned him. That rear deck lid is flapping. Whatever, it's cool. And if you listen to some of these idiots online saying, "Oh, he crashed because he knew Chase Elliott was coming to get him," no, he crashed because he overdrove the corner and wrecked himself out. Now, last year, he has to get into the round of 4. What does he do? He tries to turn Kyle Busch. It doesn't work. This year, he's on the cut line. He tries to turn Chase Elliott. It turned out to suck for him. How about Kevin Harvick stops doing things that make Kyle Busch famous and stick to what he does best, and that's race?
Yeah. And it's like, and if those watching who don't know what the hell we're talking about, here it is.
Oh, dear.
Oh, the 4's going to miss the corner.
He misses it into the wall. Kevin Harvick hard. The right front of the caution comes out.
To me, it looks like he locked his brakes trying to go into. I mean, Chase Elliott did the same thing, but he ends up winning that race. So it's just like that's the thing with the Roval. It's that first turn. That gets everybody. I mean, and then this right here, to me, I think this is payback from Bristol.
Oh, right there. It's a great shot. Oh, was there contact between him? Look at the front bumper of the 4 car. Big damage to the nose of Kevin Harvick.
Was that the payback from Bristol? Did Kevin Harvick wait until it mattered most for Chase Elliott? Let's take a look.
You're clear.
Wow.
He didn't deny it after the race. I mean,
no.
He said, did you watch Bristol?
Yeah,
So
he did.
Yeah, but if I can say something about Harvick though, at least he took his helmet off outside the care center for the interview.
Come on, that's an old Jeff Gordon move. If you're going to fight, don't take off your helmet. It avoids injuring this.
Yeah. Well, if Harvick's involved, who pushes Harvick into the fight if you're Brad? Because it doesn't make sense. Who's going to push him,
Where was Brad K anyway? Could he have helped?
He probably could have.
And I guess yesterday in day 2 of testing, they told Harvey, they said, "Hey, Chase Elliott's on his way here. Be careful." And Harvick's like, "Is this the only car we got?"
Oh, Jesus. All I can say is, Corey can back me up on this, and Jordan to a lesser extent. When my football team or my favorite race car driver or whomever has a stinker of a day or does something stupid, I'm the first guy to open my mouth and say, okay, that was stupid and it was unnecessary. What I love the most is when you hear people who probably have less of a racing IQ than my 3-year-old niece trying to tell me what happened. I'm like, okay, let me play that back about 6 more times. Tell me where you saw that. Who's there? Show me. It's like doing a math problem. Show me how 2 + 2 = 10, and I'll buy your story. It doesn't happen. And look, I get fired up. I have my opinions. Not all of them are right, except about Kyle Busch. But
hey, that's what the show's for.
I'll buy 2 + 10 or 2 + 2 is 10. I'll buy that.
That's that new math, the Common Core.
Common Core, man. My kids are doing the same thing.
Oh, I thank God I'm done with it. My kid's 13. She's moving on to algebra. That means Dad can't help with the homework. So I'll be the first to say it. Last week when I texted Corey actually after the Red Sox Yankees 1-game playoff. Congratulations, Your team, shut up, Jordan. Your team is moving on. And, thank you. He would have done the same thing in reverse. But I say it without fear. The Red Sox came out and they were killing it, and the Yankees didn't even show up. They didn't choke. They didn't show up. So when I look at something like this from the Roval, yeah, Harvick screwed up, and he has to go. He has to come out of that weekend knowing that he screwed up. Yeah, it was nice to get a little bit of payback from Bristol, but knock it off. Seriously, just go about doing what you do best and leave the wrecking to the Logano's and the Kyle Bushes.
I would love to see somebody knock Kyle Busch around a little bit.
If somebody wants to build me, somebody wants to build me a car, I'll do it this weekend. If I can get close.
But see, people's been bringing up a good point that I've been seeing on social media. Does anybody remember Joe Logano, Matt Kenseth on Martinsville? Does that happen? Does Kevin Harvick knock out Chase Elliott from advancing to the championship four? Will he? I don't know, but I guess I'm just taking it week by week. And the best part of the weekend was Kyle Larson got number
7.
He didn't do so well at 411 Speedway last night. I think he finished in the B main, but he didn't make it to the A main. But here is Kyle Larson's post-race interview.
I'm not going to get knocked out of the playoffs like this, but it wasn't looking too good. And thankfully, everybody on our 5 car did a great job of staying calm. Cliff, as always, did a great job communicating with me what was going on, getting us changed, the battery changed, the alternator, whatever it takes to get it changed to get our battery staying running. But man, my HendrickCars.com Chevy was good. William was obviously really good, so it's a bummer to see that not work out for him. But I think the 9 ended up making it. So heck, that was some great perseverance by that team too. So just an awesome day for Hendrick Motorsports, and glad to get another win, and looking forward to the next round a lot.
I mean, he's got a plan. He's not going to get knocked out this way. And here is actually your 8 drivers for the playoffs. As you can see, you got Busch, Elliott, Logano, and Keselowski. But does one of those 4 drivers that's in those spots, do they make it, or do they not make it? I'm thinking Keselowski will win Texas, maybe, and then you got Elliott winning freaking what's after Texas?
Kansas.
You got maybe him winning Kansas. You got Kyle Busch there. Any of these 4 guys could either have a good race and make it, or a bad race and just be they're out. I mean, it's the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Hell, Kyle Larson may not even make it to the next round if he has like a bad next 3 races. I mean, it's just that's the part about the playoffs that you're like, who makes it and who doesn't.
Yeah. Looking at those 8 names, I think right now the odd man out is Denny Hamlin.
Oh, definitely.
That's a guy who, yes, he's sitting pretty second in the post-Roval championship point standings, but look at everybody else that's coming with him. Larson, Truex, Kyle Busch, all these guys, Elliott, the reigning champion, Blaney, all these guys are hungry. They've won multiple times this year, as has, Hamlin picked up a couple wins. That's cool, but he certainly waited till forever to do it. I think we see Hamlin as the odd man out.
Yeah. And then, so I was looking at some stats. These 3 years right here, 98, 2007, 2001, only those drivers have won the multiple races for one team in the same season. So, and then Kyle Larson is on the brink of breaking Johnson's record from 2007. Will we see him win that 8th race, or will he just completely have issues? Like, he barely made it out of the Roval in the playoffs because he had those issues going on in the race. At one point, he was sitting in 9th out of the playoffs. So that's the thing about playoff racing. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Somebody let Corey talk.
I know, right? I've been pretty much been left out all night. I'm thinking like, damn, but boy,
my bad.
Boy, where can I pretty much start on this?
Ty Dillon, GMS Racing. You brought it up
what
last
topic
night.
we're on anyway.
Corey, you had messaged me about GMS Racing and Ty Dillon for next year.
Yeah. So I actually want to like discuss on that. So basically, I'm not surprised, but then yet again, I'm actually kind of happy that GMS is picking somebody that's had experience in the Cup Series for about for a few years and so forth. But you just look at Ty Dillon's career as as a whole this year. He's been bouncing ride after ride after ride, whether it was either Joe Gibbs or Our Motorsports or Jordan Anderson, and then of course racing in the Cup Series for Gaunt Racing as well. I kind of figured, since last year when Germain decides, okay, they're closing up shop because Geico announced they're not coming back as sponsor or whatever. And then, of course, Germain had to sell their charter to, I think it was like 2311 or wherever it was. I forget where it is. So that pretty much just said, okay, maybe Ty gets that third ride for Childress at Cup, but unfortunately that doesn't happen. So, but I think if you look at it, if GMS decided, okay, why don't we get somebody from like the Truck Series or Xfinity or whatever? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. But like the only problem is that, I mean, how long of a Cup experience has those guys had compared to Ty Dillon? I mean, if you look at his stats, he's only made like about 376 Cup starts. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, that's Allmendinger. I'm sorry. I got on the wrong, I'm on like the wrong track here. So, yeah. Okay, so if you look at Ty Dillon's stats, as I'm pulling it up right now, so you see here he only has 166 Cup starts and he only has 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s. So I would probably say, GMS, made the good call of picking him up. But then yet again, I'm actually excited that, he's getting a full-time ride. I mean, clearly, I would have loved to see, Matt DiBenedetto take that ride. But then, of course, the problem is, what's he going to have for sponsorship? Because now, from what it looks like, I thought he was going to go to Penske. And then, of course, Cindric goes to the 2 car, and then Harrison Burton takes the 21. So then my next thought was, okay, maybe he'll probably go to Colleague Racing. Now, from what I heard, Daniel Hemrick's taking the 11 car next year, and then quite possibly maybe DiBenedetto could probably take the part-time role in the Cup Series. But again, sponsorship is also the other big question. What's he going to have? Because if you look at, when he was at the Wood Brothers, I mean, he didn't have that much sponsorship to back him up. And even Roger Penske told him that we're only going to give you a 1-year deal. And then other than that, that's it. We don't have anything in store for you. And then, of course, you have to look at your other options that's out there. So that's the way how I see it. And quite honestly, the way I look at Matt DiBenedetto's situation next year, I would probably say he'll have to get a ride at either Xfinity or in the Truck Series. Because quite honestly, I don't know where else in Cup he's going to go. I mean, besides the fact he'll probably take the part-time role at Colleague if he decides to do it. So,
yeah, I received a message earlier today that he had 3 offers, and they didn't say if they were full-time or part-time. Was it, I forget who put it out there. Was it Matt DiBenedetto Racing on Twitter? I'm not quite sure who it was that had said he's gotten 3 offers and he's mulling them over. No mention of full-time, no mention of part-time, no mention of sponsorship or even make, because Matt DiBenedetto has had a contract with Ford. But if I'm Matty D and I want to get even a decent ride for next year, and somebody from Chevy goes, hey, we'll set you in our car, here's a bunch of money, I'm telling Ford, hey, I'd like out of this contract, please. I want to get this job. Because right now, Ford isn't exactly helping him find a job. Wood Brothers and Penske basically kicked him out the door without a lunch pail. And at this point, somebody's got to show some love and respect to this kid.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Brad Keselowski brings in a 3rd car for Keselowski Roush next year and bring in Matt D and say, hey, buddy, and say, hey, Matt, I have a ride for you. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, it is a silly season, so you got some drivers out there.
It was discussed. Right now, they said that's not an option. Not to mention, I know that, minority ownership it has a ring to it for Brad, but they've kind of established he's going to take on that role at the end of his racing career. For now, they want him to be a driver, and he may have some say in that. I don't know that he has that say right now. And Jack Roush has made it clear, we will look at our efforts to start an Xfinity team, but we have no intentions of going to 3 cars right now. And if we're just being honest, if we're going to start a third team in Cup, I'm bringing in some young guy that's got plenty of talent, not a guy. And keep in mind, I support everything Matt DiBenedetto does. I think he's a great driver, not a guy that has yet to win in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I mean, but then yet again, I wouldn't be surprised if Keselowski brings back, his Truck Series team or something, because that's what he used to do a couple of years ago when he had his own team, and then unfortunately he shut it down because of lack of funding and so forth. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Roush kind of makes that move, whether if they can open up an Xfinity team or a Truck Series team next year, because I remember there was a time, I think in like Xfinity and Truck Series, I remember they were pretty dominant, and of course, they've won championships over the years. So, yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
Indeed.
Hashtag hire Matt DiBenedetto.
Yeah,
I like that. So that wasn't so. Cup Series NASCAR was not the only racing over the weekend. We had IMSA, and hang on.
I didn't do it. Now this is the part where everybody tells us, what is your favorite donut?
Cake.
There you go.
Chocolate glaze, baby.
There you go. Double chocolate glaze. Chocolate donut on the bottom, chocolate glaze on the top.
Chocolate for the win. Oh, yeah.
There you go. John's left out, man. What kind of donuts do you like, bro?
I like Krispy Kreme lemon field.
There you go. When the light is on.
Only when the light is on.
Exactly. See,
Also,
John gets it.
I'm Chris. I came in late, so nobody knows except for that my name's on the screen.
I knew because it says your name right there on the screen.
Yeah. We have the same name, so it's probably easy for us to remember each other.
Kind of.
Anyway.
I do like the fact that, people, I don't like sounding like just a lonely bird in the tree, that people are getting behind Matty D and really wanting to support him and wanting to see him get a job, rather than, watching some of these booger picking basement dwellers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram talking about Matty D shouldn't get a job. He ain't never won nothing. Well, we all start somewhere. Michael Waltrip raced for 15 years before he got a win.
Years.
Well,
it was like 462 starts, and then he wins in 2001. And of course, that was the year when we lost Dale Earnhardt. So
I think people get lost in the fact that they think he drives for Penske, but he doesn't. They may have Penske Alliance, but if you've been to the garage, and I have, all the teams always park together in the garage. You will never see the 21 parked with Penske. They're not the same team. Exactly. I don't think he gets the same equipment. I don't think he gets the same notes. I think the biggest thing for him is that he gets the chassis and engines from them, and the Wood brothers do a little bit of engine work on it and call it theirs. It's not the same thing as being Penske.
Right.
Yeah.
And John, you're in the industry. Tell us a little bit more about these technical alliances.
Well, honestly, a lot of times it depends on what teams are willing to pay for them. You can have a technical alliance that is you can have a technical alliance that you're paying like the minimum for, and that's what you're gonna get out of it. If you they're like that one year with Furniture Row. I mean, they had a technical alliance with Joe Gibbs and took Joe Gibbs' stuff and kicked their butts with it. So it's a deal of so I mean, technical alliances are you get what you get out what you put in, because Joe Gibbs and Rick Hendrick and Richard Childress, they're not dummies. They're not, they're not going to give you more than what you pay for. But also the way to make good on it is to have the people and the in the right place to be able to make the best out of what you get. Because, like you said, I mean, you're getting a chassis. You might get some engineering help, get a motor, which people look at, well, he's got a Gibbs motor or he's got a Hendrick motor or he's got whatever. And there's actually, really in the industry, it's called shelves. You have A shelf motors, B shelf motors, C shelf motors. And it's literally, it might be the difference of 15 horsepower.
They're not going to give Matty D the same engine they're giving Joey Logano.
No, if in all honesty, if Wood Brothers is paying for it, they'll give them the same stuff. A lot of race teams will tell you it's easier for me to build you the same thing that it is for me to build, but I'm going to sell it to you and I'm going to make a profit off of it. They're not. I know with Mike Harmon, and I might get in trouble for telling this bit of information. We had a ECR motor in our 74 car at Talladega. Now, before we got a chance to show an ECR motor, we got wrecked. But that's seriously. Sorry, I have dogs who decide to be guard dogs on me. But that's a risky play at Talladega. But to rent that motor was about $35,000. So, and we were making comparable horsepower. We were within 1 or 2 horsepower of the one team, which is Junior Motorsports, which is basically, Hendrick Jr. It's and I mean we were right there with what they were making. We were the 02 team. Our Motorsports, we were actually making better horsepower than them, but it cost money, and that was to rent it. And then we got wrecked, and I don't know all the details of insurance and how that not getting the motor back, in the same condition is, but there's you have to put out the money to get that stuff. And so, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how much they're paying for it. I know with there was an issue with Matt DiBenedetto. I don't want to say an issue. I guess it's a chemistry thing that I've heard. Because I won't say I run the same circles, but I know people that know people that are close with Matt, and him and the crew chief didn't necessarily click this year, and that that happens. And whenever you have basically, he didn't even get 2 full seasons to go out and show everything. Like they had already. Penske had kind of said, well, because that was a Penske move to move him out. That wasn't Woodbrook. That was Penske going, you're a satellite team for us. We want to develop this driver. You're going to move him up. Or we need a seat for him. Hey, y'all are going to provide the seat. That was, I think, by the time they announced that, maybe we had a season and a half, and they were in the midst of, it being trying to get the chemistry right, trying to get things right, and now once you kind of announce it, it's not, or once that decision's made, it's not necessarily a lame duck situation, I guess, because they're all trying to prove their worth still, but at the same time, it's not necessarily by working towards the same goal, which I think hurts them. Your 95, whenever you run the 95 car, they were, he made that car, whenever you look at the people that were in it, Casey Kane, stuff like that, he run equal to them. And Casey Kane's a talented driver. I mean, so for me, it's, not a question of talent. It's a question of, a lot of other things for him. Other satellite teams. I'm trying to think. I guess like another kind of good example would have been back, whenever it was just Haas racing, before it was, Stuart Haas. They were a Hendrick, they were aligned with Hendrick, and Tony Stewart come in and money went up, and they were able to provide, pay more, and all of a sudden they became relevant.
And even before that, in the late '90s, it was they had the Kranifus Haas team before Gene Haas went with Hendrick.
Yeah, and I mean so like to me, that's the biggest thing about your satellite teams. You're going to get what you put out. It's the same thing with like Rick Ware, that satellite team. There's teams like I think the 48 team in Xfinity is loosely a RCR affiliate, and they've recently announced they're going to up that, but they've run lower middle of the pack all year. But if they go and start putting more money in, these big teams have unlimited resources, and you can grow a lot by investing in their resources, basically. So I don't know if that really answers the question. It was kind of long-winded, but
no, it makes all the sense in the world.
I'm back, y'all. Sorry. Thank you, John.
You were gone? Pleasure to be working with you, kid.
Go ahead, Chris Osborne. Chris actually wants to do a 4 in 4 out before he has to go. So I think my 4 drivers in would be Larson, Blaney, Elliott, Logano.
Wow. I'm going to have to think about this a little deeper. Chris, Corey, and John, I'll wait for you guys.
All right. So if you can put the standings up. So the way I see it right now, we got 2 mile and a halves and we have a short track. So the way I see it, I could see Larson win either Texas or Kansas because he's been pretty good on the mile and a half, and I would not count him out. So Larson would be my number 1. Chase Elliott, I know he's 2 points behind, but I think he can squeak his way in depending on, if anybody in the top 4 has problems, or of course, they crash out, with the 2 races or 3 or whatever. I think Chase Elliott will squeak his way in. Truex would definitely be my number 3 because, we're going to Martinsville in a couple of weeks. And of course, he's been pretty good on the short tracks recently. And I know he just won Martinsville in the spring. So Truex will get that 3rd spot. Now my fourth head was a little bit up for grabs, and I had a little bit of trouble deciding who my 4th one was going to be. But
I'm sorry, turn
I mean, quite honestly, right now, if I'm going to have to pick my 4th guy, I think Blaney's going to squeak in. So I just look at it right now, and quite honestly, I do want to see Hamlin make the championship 4, but there has come a time within the last couple of years, where Hamlin's been pretty good, and then playoff time, he pretty much chokes either where, if it's like the last race before the championship or somewhere, in the round of 8. But I don't know. I think that's the way I see it right now. I think Larson, Elliott get the 2 spots, and then Truex gets that 3rd spot, and then Blaney squeaks in on points. So that's the way I would kind of look at it. So.
Okay.
I'll go if you want me to.
Take it away, Chris.
All right, so I'm more of a stats over the season guy. I look at the manufacturer standings. This has been a bad year for Ford. I know they have 7 wins, but they outnumber Toyota 2-1. And to have less wins than the Toyota group, I say there won't be a Ford in the Final Four. I think you're going to end up with
Cut it
2
off.
Chevys against two Toyotas. Yeah.
I think you cut it off.
I'm going with Larson and Elliott and Hamlin and Truex Jr. I think that's the 4. Blaney's been better as of late. You know, he had those wins going into the playoffs, but he hasn't exactly lit it up in the playoffs. He's survived. And same thing with Logano and Keselowski. These guys haven't pushed for a win in the playoffs at all. So I don't think they're going to be a factor. I really think it's 2 Chevys, 2 Toyotas. And it might be Kyle Busch instead of Truex. I doubt it. I really think it's going to be Hamlin, Truex, Larson, and Elliott.
Okay.
I guess I'd have to say in a mile and a half, I expect Larson to get at least one of them. Because he's kind of been lead out at will this year, like everybody else has said. I think Keselowski and Logano they're going to have to win to get in. Like that, they're counting on too much in front of them to get up there. But with that said, Hamlin, Logano, and Keselowski, Martinsville's kind of been their show for a lot of years. In a row. It seems like those are always they always are in the top 5. Like they're always there at Martinsville. I think that would be the only way they're going to get in. So I think Hamlin will probably run consistent enough that he's going to be. He'll probably be the one to sneak in. I would say what's hard is Kyle Busch just randomly shows up and kicks everybody's butt just one week. So
if you do it at the right time, that's all it takes, though.
Yeah, and that's it. Like he just like the whole team, just everything clicks and they lead 75% of the laps and win by 8 seconds. So it's hard to completely rule him out. I would have to go probably Larson getting in with the win at one of the 2 mile and a halves. I see Logano getting in at Martinsville. And then I would go with Hamlin either winning his way in or just he's being that consistent that he gets in. And then I don't know. The last one's tricky because there's so many. As much as people don't like Kyle Busch is a racer, and he, whenever it comes down to it, he can get more out of the car than the next guy. So I could kind of see him winning one of the other mile and a halves because they've shown that they can do it. So I kind of see Kyle Busch kind of going against the grain, not seeing Elliott make it to defend his championship. Truex, Blaney, seeing them and Keselowski, I think there's just it's kind of like I went back with Matty D. They know he's leaving. He knows he's leaving. they're going to have the ability, but it's just they're not going to be able to put it all together to win a race to advance. So yeah, I'd say Larson, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Logano would probably be my final four.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of went a little different route, and I see the next three races all being won by one of the members of this group of 8. I can see Larson this coming weekend at Texas. In my mind's eye, I can see Truex at Kansas. And in a surprise, because I don't really think he runs all that great there, I can see Chase Elliott winning Martinsville.
He won there
Now
last year.
Now you go to who fills that 4th spot, at least on my list. And I think you're going to see some of these guys have some of the same problems as contenders in the past. Hamlin and Blaney, again, these guys could sneak in like you guys were talking about or win their way in. On my list, they're not on it. But I am going to take Brad Keselowski as my sleeper 4th. I think he's going to hang just where he needs to. As John was saying, they may not give him the best car, but he doesn't need the best car, and he's shown it before in the past. Do I? In my mind's eye, that's what I'd like to see. Do I think it? No, but for the sake of playing fantasy racing right now, yeah, I'm going to take Brad Keselowski as my sleeper 4th pick.
Okay. Cool.
Come join us. What's up? We lose somebody?
John.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so John did have to step away. So, there he is. Thought you meant disappeared there for a minute, buddy.
Yeah, I hit a button on my phone.
Oh. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to quickly get ready to wrap this up soon. I had the whole show planned out, but hey, we went all NASCAR tonight. I'm perfectly okay with that.
I got to head out too. Thanks for having me again, guys.
Oh,
nice problem, meeting you, Chris.
You too, man. See y'all later.
Good to meet you, buddy.
You too.
All right, so the World Superbike released their 2022 schedule. So they have a lot of events on their schedule this year. They got Qatar, Indonesia, Republic of Argentina, Circus of the Americas on April 10th, Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Catalonia, up there in Barcelona, Germany, Netherlands, Finland, Great Britain, Austria. They're going to be at that track where Formula One goes, or however the hell you say it, Oregon, Japan, Thailand, Australia, Malaysia, and closing it out in Valencia. So, as you know, a few weeks ago, I did that tribute for that rider who actually died. He was actually in that series along with his cousin. And then the touring car released their 2022 United States calendar. So you got some pretty good tracks on here. You got Sonoma. You got a new one, Ozarks, if it can become an FIA regulation circuit, they will be running there. But as it looks right now, that will not be part of their schedule next year unless it can get approved by the FIA. You got Virginia, Watkins Glen, Nashville with the IndyCar Series that weekend. Road America, Sebring, and Indianapolis. Speaking of Indianapolis, this weekend is actually Indianapolis 8 hours for the International GT Cup. So that'll be interesting. Over the weekend, we had Formula One in Turkey. Here is late to the party, but what's up, Tori?
What up, bro? I already told you I'm at work.
Oh, I know. You good. So here is your driver standings for F1. Max Verstappen actually took the lead over Lewis Hamilton after Verstappen actually finished second on Sunday, therefore putting Hamilton finished P5. So that's how. So he actually dropped down to second. Your driver standings your team standings actually Mercedes over Red Bull. Mercedes is already going to clinch the team championship within the next couple of weeks. You got Alpine in there. Actually, one of their drivers actually ran every lap on the same tires for the entire race. So if you can see right here if you can see on the screen, he raced the same set of tires for all 50-something laps or 60-something laps. He had no pit stops whatsoever.
Wow.
Because I know that's impressive. If you look at the stops, he has zero pit stops.
That's impressive.
Stops. That's impressive. Like, I've never seen a single driver in F1 race every lap on those tires. And then, let's see. So I follow the women's series, and there's actually a driver that I'm in the process of interviewing on the show. This is her. Her name is Naomi Schiff. She is German, and she has a couple of series going on her right now. And here's part one, followed by part two.
Hi, my name is Naomi Schiff, and I'm a Puma W Series racing driver. Well, of course, I'm really proud of my achievements, to have won the Clio Cup Championship in 2014 and to have won the 2018 Expo Battle Championship are things that I'm really proud of. But besides that, I'm also really, really proud to have been a part of the 2019, inaugural W Series driver lineup. So I think what's next for me within the sport is, to see where my career will take me and how this platform is going to allow me to inspire lots of young little girls. Since I was very young, I've looked up to Lewis Hamilton. He was, for me, the only, call it, identifiable role model that I had in my career. So he holds a special place in my heart, and I've always, been motivated to do as well as he's done, and hopefully be that identifiable role model for someone else, thanks to him. First of all, I think it's no secret to anyone within our sport that obviously our sport requires quite a lot of change and more diversity. It's been very male-dominated for so long, and I think the reason why W Series exists is to change the face of motorsports and to change exactly that. So I hope that within this team and my role, I'll be able to play a role in bringing more women into the paddock, be it female drivers or mechanics or engineers or team principals.
So she's impressive. So now, Tyler Riddick's car for this weekend, I have a problem with it. I like the design, however, the lining between the black and the gray is actually supposed to be orange, because Earnhardt's car had orange on it his entire career in that number 3, I believe, for TV side. But if you've ever looked closely at an Earnhardt car, you can see that the red lining is actually orange.
And like I said before, when I rage, it's like the same guy
So I think it's a pretty cool car. A lot of people saying, I thought RCR said he wasn't going to run that scheme anymore. No, he said he wasn't going to run that scheme on the 3 car anymore. So people need to get their facts straight. And somebody said, Teresa Earnhardt's going to get upset. What's Teresa got to do with it? RCR owns that car. RCR owns that paint scheme. So he's the only one that can do it,
Exactly.
So
I love it when they tip their hat to the old days, when they have a car that looks like an old Earnhardt car or an old Rusty Wallace car. Seeing Suarez go to the chrome lettering is somewhat of a throwback toward Darrell Waltrip in the second half of his career. I think that's great. But again, I go back to something I said way earlier on in the broadcast. The internet trolls need something to complain about. And if they don't see it, they'll find it. They'll dig something out and they'll go, oh my God, can you believe he's running that Earnhardt scheme? How dare he? If you don't like it, move on.
Exactly.
Hey, I said something like that a couple of episodes ago, Chris, that people basically what you said, they'll find anything to complain about. Man, just shut the fuck up and enjoy the race.
I'm surprised you haven't been canceled for that, Tori.
That's crazy.
But
man.
I said
right now, I'm gonna write that down.
Tori, I want you to meet Chris Burns. Chris Burns is actually who I'm going to be working with, him and Corey both on their podcast called The Speedway Review. I am actually their new producer for that show.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it relaunches 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, October 27th.
Okay.
Shirts and
So-
shoes will be required.
If not, then unfortunately you can't do it. But
Yeah.
Tori, you missed it earlier. But here's their new logo for the relaunch that designed by me.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. I like it as cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Wacky racers, bro.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Oh, yo, I know you guys actually talked about this, but what was the overall consensus about the new one lug on the cars? How I can't remember his name. I think he was like the president of NASCAR. He was
Steve
saying
Phillips.
that there are going to be more tracks converted to street and things of that nature.
John had a really good explanation of it earlier, and I don't know that I was fond of the idea of the new lug tire until John went out of his way. And thank you again, John, for explaining it, how it's actually going to change the way the car handles and the way the car drives and bring it more toward the street stock kind of look and feel of the car. And I still can't get over the fact that John told us that it's the new tire and the way things are changing is going to make the pit stops longer.
Yeah, I mean that's right now. I mean, you know, it's one of those. It's NASCAR. They'll engineer it to death, and we'll make it faster. It's just right now being new. What we deal with. It's gonna be.
And we lost him.
Uh-oh.
But this is what happened. This is what happened. We're about to sign off. But here's what happened at the IMSA race over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
That's a save.
Yeah.
And Tori, here's
that's
the
crazy.
sound. Tori, and here's what the new car sounds like.
Okay. I was watching a video on that before the shift started.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So next week we return to. Well, no, we might not. In fact, next week I might not even have a show next week. I don't know. If I do, it'll be on Wednesday. I'll keep you guys posted. Because I'm supposed to take my daughter to that Gold Across the America tour.
Okay.
For the gymnastics. But Tori, Chris, Corey, I want to say thank you guys for joining me tonight on Motorsports Race Talk. I look forward to working with both you, Corey and Chris, on the Speedway review. I'll get with you guys sometime next week, and we can discuss how the first episode is going to go. Okay?
Absolutely. And just for you two fine gentlemen, because I hate Houston and their cheating ways, Sox in 5. And wait a minute. So Tori knows.
I like that.
That hurts me very much to say.
Oh, wow. What
Yes, sir.
the?
So it hurts me very much to give any love to the Red Sox, but I hate Houston even more.
Yeah, they're cheating. I don't even want to go into it, bro. I don't want to go into it.
But do you have any final thoughts before we sign off tonight?
Start with Corey. I'd love to hear what he has to say. He's been shy.
Yeah, I don't know what's kept me shy on that anyway, but you know. No, I'm actually excited to do the Speedway relaunch in about 2 weeks, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing as I am always best, you know, stat boy, pretty much without notes. That is actually a true story, by the way, and whatever I do is I just look it up and all that. So, but anyways, I actually want to just say one little thing. So before we sign off, I want to wish a congratulations to a friend of mine named Larry Seelig, who on Monday actually ran the Boston Marathon this past week and
Okay.
finished with a 3 hour and 42-minute time. And so, Larry, congratulations on the Boston Marathon. And actually, it's also funny because I didn't know this, but I guess Danica Patrick ran the Boston Marathon on Monday too.
How many people did she wreck?
I'd probably say like maybe 100, maybe closer to 100. I don't know.
Coming around Liberty Hill, she runs into somebody, starts a pile up.
Somewhere around like Heartbreak Hill, but actually, I'll tell you one little quick Boston
You need
Marathon
another one
story
there?
real quick. So 2 years ago, Jimmy Johnson ran the Boston Marathon. Yeah, 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson, and it was actually funny because I have a friend of mine who actually does marathons every year and so forth. And it was funny because I don't remember this part, but I remember I think he either emailed me or I think he texted me a picture, him with Jimmy Johnson at the starting line in Hopkinton, and I was like, that's actually a really badass picture, and I'm just so jealous that you got a picture with 7-time. And let me be clear, this is 7-time champion, Daytona 500 winner, everything in the book, 83 wins, Jimmy Johnson. Yes, that guy. You know, and I still have that picture in my my album to this day, and every time I look at it, I just say to myself, like, dude, I cannot believe you got a picture of him, and I'm so jealous you like met him in person. You know.
That's
But I
cool as hell.
think Jimmy Johnson. I think if I remember, I think he finished the marathon. I think with like 3 hours that day. I forget like how many times he ran, but I think it was either like under 3 hours or I think it was a little over 3 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad run at all, and it was the fastest he ran all year that year.
Oh yeah, and this guy's known for doing marathons also.
Right.
Oh wow.
I even meant in the car. He didn't run that well that year, but he did great in the marathon.
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate Jordan allowing me to come on to your program. I had a really good time. It's fantastic. Thank you again for you and Corey for helping to stoke that fire and bring me back to doing this. And I'm looking forward to having fun on Wednesday night, 7:30 going forward. It's great to meet, John and Chris and you as well, Tori. I look forward to talking to all of you again. I'm going to back out real quick because Jordan's not coming to do this laundry and it's not going to do itself. So I'm going to bail. And as always, F. Kyle Busch.
There's no balls. See you, Chris.
Later,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, Chris.
All right, Corey, guys, you guys have a wonderful night.
All right, brother.
Appreciate
you
it.
take it easy
Thank
too, yo.
All right, this has been Motorsports Race Talk. Good night, guys.